Welcome to Rock Around the Clock, Google Stadia news and gameplay live at the same time every day, Monday to Friday. Every day we check out the latest Stadia news across the internet live, closing with Stadia gameplay and chat with your host Rock and occasional guests. But first, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on the latest Stadia news. If you'd like to support my content, please consider joining Team Rock by hitting the join button on this page. Yes, hello. Happy Thursday. We're almost there. It's almost the weekend. I bet you can't wait. I know I can't wait. Hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed, Wednesday evening or the rest of your Wednesday, depending on when it was. It's one of those days, guys. Today's a day that's like a day. But it's a day where we don't have much news. And I was hoping to line somebody up for a little bit of an interview, but it's not going to happen today, but it will happen tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to, isn't it? We've got a few things, and one thing that sort of popped up a few minutes ago when I was doing all my research. So we'll get underway, and we can do an AMA or an FAQ or a Q&A or whatever you kids call it these days. And depending what time we got left, we may have a little scoot around the Stadia store and see what new trials are kicking around. Anyway, say hello. The chat's there. It's welcome. It's waiting, and it's warm. So slap a message in, and then we can get some chit chat up on the old screen. And then I will go to the news. But I need participation, folks. I need you to say hello. Otherwise, I feel lonely. And I can see there's at least 7 of you there watching this poor old lonely ancient fella. I have to say, before we go any further, I had a cracking time yesterday. I jumped on to our good friend Anthony Cowboy's show, and we chatted about diets and stuff and what have you, and it was great. Do you know, all of a sudden the chats just piled in from nowhere. It must have been my system hadn't updated. Great to see y'all. We got Jeff sending prayers for the Queen. Yes, she's it's not looking too good, is it, my friend? I think she may be approaching the very end. All the family are there, and of course we send best wishes. But yes, I think do you know there's a process. I forget what they call it. It's literally got a code name, and all the broadcasting stations and all the news, they've all got this kind of set process they have to go through at that moment, because it was always going to come. And for us, it means, I think, days. I think there's like 24-hour news blackout or something. Great time to get the bad news out there, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm not a huge royalist myself, but to be fair, she was and is a good queen. I think probably the best that we've had. I think it's an institution that has reached its sell-by date, and it either needs to modernise or fade away. But you know, not a good time to have those conversations. So we'll see how it goes. Raymond, how are you, my friend? Great to see you with your little wave and your smiley face. Yeah, so I jumped on to Cowboy Show. In fact, he's here. I've just spotted he's in the chat. I don't know why I'm not seeing everybody's. Oh, here it is. There you go. This is gonna be Eric. No, it's Rock. A rock. This is gonna be a rock. Yeah, jumped on to Cowboy Show last night. He started a new format, which is kind of a talk show, a chat show, and not necessarily about gaming either. It covers a few different, and we covered some ground. It was really good. I think there were 3 or 4 other guests, and we talked about losing weight, and we talked about getting fit. All sorts of stuff. It was really, really good. Riveting, actually. So if you haven't, go and check it out, man. It's quite long. But I think I was in there for 2 hours, and then Ant carried on gaming for a while after that. I had to bail at that point. Joe, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Hey to you too. I want to have a chat with you offline. I'll send you a DM. I've had a thought. But no rush. I'll come get to you in good time. Mugen live on Google. How are you, sir? Guten Abend. And of course, you were Ray's Praise this Tuesday, which was brilliant. So I hope you got to see it, and I hope it helps as well. Your details were put into the description on the show, and people encouraged to come and subscribe to you. So hope it works for you. Be absolutely brilliant if it does. And thank you for joining today. It's great to see you. Young Raymond is, of course, the gaming cyborg, and a beautiful man that he is. Ray and William, Stadia Pro Gaming, and John Scar, of course, my cohorts, my band members on the Stadia Rokk Show every Tuesday. And after the show, if you go to the bottom of my YouTube homepage, you'll find links to all their channels, and I would please ask you, if you don't, to subscribe to them, because they are lovely folk. Stadia Krampus. Hey Adam, can't stay long, just stopping by to say hi. Well, it's great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. Hope you're keeping well. I know you're always up to something interesting, whether it's farming or whether it's in the medical field, or even thinking of getting back to, is it Austria, I think, your ancestral home. So I hope you're keeping well. It's great to see you. Thank you. Rock, says Ray. You are correct. It's not Eric. It's a little joke I have with Cowboy. Of course he says epic, but it just makes me chuckle that it's one letter away from Eric, which happens to be one of those kind of comedy names, doesn't it? You imagine somebody with a dog called Eric, because my favourite comedy name for a dog is Dave. I just love the idea of somebody being in a field shouting out, Dave! Dave! It's like, people, what's going on? Do you remember, I think it's Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's this English guy wandering around the world throughout the game, and every so often you're like in the town, or you're out in the, and you hear him going, I can't think of the name of the guy, but he's going, Colin, has anybody seen Colin? And it just creases me up. I just find it the funniest thing. Colin? Who else we got? Oh, we got Obi Rose Kenobi, an awesome gentleman. He did indeed do a rendition of a song that I had never heard, Suavemente. And quite honestly, I don't think if I do hear it, I'll ever quite hear it in the same vein. But what a lovely guy. And again, check him out, check his channel out, full of energy, and you can just tell he's a nice guy. And he's a friend of Ant's, so it kind of goes without saying. Wilhelm, Stadia Pro Gaming, been watching UFO Witness, Season 1 and Season 2. Very good, Rock. Yes, he knows that's a very keen interest of mine. Whereabouts does it reside, William? Is it on Discovery or something? Is it on a channel I might be able to get over here? I'd like to watch that. Been watching a few of those recently. Look at this. How funny is this? Ant's son's name is Eric. I'm going to assume you're not pulling my leg, Ant, because I don't think you do that kind of humour. But that is brilliant. That is so funny. Not a funny name for a human, but a funny name for a dog. That was my point. But there you go. Eric is epic. How cool is that? Chin Chin. Actually, I'm not a massive fan of it's blackcurrant. I prefer fruits of the forest. That's what I like. How are you liking the general look today, guys? I've switched out the coloured lights for a lovely kind of warm ambiance. One to go with these cooler autumn fall evenings. I hope that looks good. I've also trained myself to be able to read your messages while looking straight at the camera. You see, peripheral vision, it's amazing. No, his son's name is Eric. No, but I believe you. Honestly, I do. I don't think for 1 minute he would joke about that. Yeah, every time you said it, I thought you knew. No, I didn't. I genuinely didn't know that. That is what they call serendipity. That is amazing. Travel channel. No, we don't have the travel channel. But oftentimes there'll be a channel that you guys have that does have a show. And it will appear in a different name for us. So we, for example, we now have a rebranded sci-fi channel, which I don't know that you guys still even have anymore. And one of my favourite shows of all time, and I'm genuine about this, American Chopper. I absolutely adore that show. And it never appeared on the same channel over here as it did in the States. So what I'll do is I'll go a Googling and see if I can find out. Let me just lift myself up. Oh, you got to change your position every so often, otherwise you get piles, fellas. There's a little tip for the older man there. Travel Channel, and it's free. I'm going to definitely look out for that. Thank you for that little tipette. So guys, I don't have masses of news, but I do have some. It could be Discovery. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's typically, so we have none of the, like the paranormal live thing that turns up on Sci-Fi. And again, one of my other favorite shows, I'm not sure if you guys have ever had this, it's called Most Haunted. There's a whole number of those kinds of shows, you know, where they whether it's set up or not, it's entertaining. And it's an English couple, and sort of their staff, their entourage, and they go to old castles and things. It's great. I love it. Anybody from the UK will know the show in question, but it is great fun. Obi says, Rock. Oh, hang on, Obi. You've got a big one, my friend. Let me get it in. Mrs. There you go. Rock. You're not going to believe this. There was a guy who was on American Chopper, and I worked with him. No way. We would talk all the time. Sorry, got cut off by my 15-second warning there. We would talk all the time, and I would threaten him. Why would you threaten him? What was he called? Was he like a regular character in American Chopper? I absolutely loved that show. I really did. I mean, you know, they definitely had issues, but I love the shows where they make stuff and where there's kind of camaraderie. I love all that stuff. You've got pressures of time, you've got to get stuff done and everything else, because that's kind of how it works. I mean, my industry is slightly different, because if somebody signs up for a piece of work, it's stretched over months, but it's still quite pressured. So I recognise some of those stresses. Not that that's a word that Ant would ever use. I remember that, my friend. Yes. Anyway, news. So I can categorically say. Let me take us across to the news. There we go. Look, we're at the laptop. Look at that lovely. Don't you think it's nice, that coloration behind? I should have been an interior decorator. There's no question of it. And I hope the music's at a good level. I'm hearing it. I'm getting it now in my ears, so I'm able to monitor the volume, and I think it's okay. I think it's working all right. So we're going to start on 9 to 5 Google. Yep, that's the site owned by Dolly Parton, for those of you that didn't realise. And it's not really. And because unfortunately for us, Stadia Source and Stadia Dosage, at least a couple of minutes ago, had no new news. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, which we covered yesterday. Five Nights, same thing over at Stadia Source. So nothing going on over there. Nothing going on but the rent. So, Risk of Rain 2, it's a bit of a news story, I guess. I mean, it's Stadia related. Risk of Rain 2, yeah, it is a slow nose week and a slow news week, Joe, because we tend to find this the first few days after the Prime Day. The Prime games. That's the one, isn't it? I'm starting to come across as if I'm having a stroke. I'm not, honestly, folks. So it tends to be a little slow following the release of Prime games, and then it kind of moves up. But we've got some news, and I've got a really interesting little piece of news, actually. So I'm just saving the best till last. Risk of Rain 2. This is a game I've always struggled with. I'm no good at any of those kind of roguelike / roguelite games. They just... I'm not a fan of rinse and repeat. Even in a game like Cyberpunk, I'm at the end where I've got some pretty nasty robot things that I'm supposed to kill, and I can't get them down. So I'm kind of like, can't be bothered, and it's just me. And in the end, I tend to walk away from the game and just, But excited to revisit Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia, says Joe. Yeah, what I'm hoping to do is complete the game by hook or by crook. I will do it, and then I'm going to start it all over again But with all the tips that I've had from Stadia Pro Gaming and Ray, and also the fact that they've got new stuff to experience, the old transmogrification and all that malarkey, give that a go. Any road up, the Stadia port of Risk of Rain 2, it says, first debuted in 2020. I didn't realise it had been around that long, with an exclusive level, and over time has been one of the better supported versions of the game. Let me zoom in for you guys. You can read along with Grandad. And over time has been one of the better supported versions of the game. Earlier this year, it picked up the Survivors of the Void expansion, just a little while after PC. Now that expansion still has yet to land on consoles, which is good, and is scheduled for release on Xbox and PlayStation in Q4, so not until the end of the year. But for the past few weeks, Risk of Rain 2 players on Stadia have encountered issues with the game. So they've had performance and multiplayer platform issues, and this has been on Reddit. I'm just cutting this short, but I could read the whole thing. We've got not a lot else to talk about. But these guys at 9 to 5 working overtime reached out to Gearbox Publishing, the developers, and they've not had a response, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going down there. Thanks for putting the old details up there on the oh, let's got another one. I have to tweak these all the time. Do you remember me saying, you may not remember, but because I'm using the software that I'm using to create this chat is kind of in an alpha stage, so the developer's updating it every day. So I have to go in and update mine and then do all the settings again. But hey, guess what, guys? Exclamation mark hi, HI, has a response, an autobotic response, as does exclamation mark joke. So go on, fill your boots, why don't you? Anyway, they reached out to Gearbox and they didn't hear nothing, and they haven't been back. It's a bit of a shame. Let's hope they fix it soon. I mean, they've obviously put themselves out there for Risk of Rain, with its own level and doing an exclusive level, certainly ahead of time with the consoles and stuff. So I guess we'll have to see. Tweets. I'm not publishing that joke. That one was awful. You can keep that one to yourself, Joe. Also, we did 5 nights yesterday, and another one down here. And we'll cover this off in bookmarks in a second as well. Stadia bookmarks, I think I'll call it. Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty. Of course, it's definitely coming to Stadia. That's been now confirmed. No date as yet. It's the big DLC that's going to be, it's going to be great. It's going to have a price tag as well, guys. It's not going to be free, which is understandable, I guess, if it's that much effort. But sometime next year, we're hoping. I think that's kind of what they've been saying. But interestingly, it's kind of confirmed now that they have no plans for any further DLCs or content. So that could actually be it for Cyberpunk 2077. My guess is they're probably quite keen to move away from it. It's been a bit of an albatross for them, hasn't it? You know what I mean? So, hey Gamer Mink, how are you, my friend? You're never late to my little show. Whenever you can make it, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for popping in. Good to see you, dude. Not missed anything. Got the best news to come. I say news, it's kind of news. Any road up. So yeah, I think they're kind of quite happy to rustle along from Cyberpunk, and my guess is as well that it's an extensive game to maintain. It was always a massive project, and I think initially they had kind of thought it would be PC only. They came under pressure probably from shareholders to expand that out, and that's really where I think all of their issues came, to be fair, because it was largely in those offshoot projects where they kind of caught a cold. But anyway, it's going to be coming at some point next year, and indeed, they say it will be. Notably, Cyberpunk is set to discontinue updates for last generation consoles. Yeah, this is good. I mean, it's not good if you've got an old PS4 or an Xbox One, but it's good in the sense that Stadia is considered, it's going to be part of the updates. It's certainly part of Phantom Liberty. and that's because it is ultimately, it works with the next gens. I mean, look, what makes a next gen? It's faster processors, faster GPUs, and in the case of certainly PS5, Xbox Series X, and a newer PC, then there's option for things like ray tracing. Well, the fast CPU and the fast GPU definitely is in the server blades for Stadia. The ray tracing stuff will come. I mean, it's just additional overload on the blades. It's not something that will never come. And also, it's interesting because if you look at the games that have ray tracing, there ain't as many as you think. In fact, if you go to GeForce now, for example, or just GeForce, just go to NVIDIA and look at a list of games that have RTX. It's not as many as you think, and there aren't that many games that are PS5 only still that have those features. So, it's easy to get FOMO'd over this, and think that you're missing out. But truthfully, games have been going for some time without true ray tracing and still looking great. There's so many really good games that are still really current that don't have the true ray tracing, but you wouldn't know it because as you're whipping around in the game, it feels like there's reflective surfaces and shadows and water and stuff. So it all happens. Chariot, my friend, great to see you. Came to hit that like button for you. Cheers, buddy. Thank you so much. Keep it coming with the Stadia content. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm definitely trying to. It's a daily thing. Facts, Gamer Mink, says Chariot. Gamers getting the new gen FIFA 22. Yeah, no, we are. Absolutely, we are. Yeah. Because they work. As I've said, if it's purely down to the speed of the processor, speed of disk access, and high quality GPU, Stadia's kind of had that since launch. That's why the games load so incredibly fast. It's a custom stack that they've built, and it works extremely well. And they'll add stuff, but what they're working on, of course, right now is the added value that nobody else has. The crowd play and the crowd choice and the ability to direct stream to YouTube that nobody else has. And personally, I'd rather have those unique features than a feature that just puts it on a similar level to someone else, where a lot of the games don't have those features. See, Ant's never even played a game with ray tracing. You've played Miles Morales on PS5, haven't you, Ant? That's got ray tracing. You can turn it off, but, it looks stunning. And you can play that Miles Morales, of course, because it's part of the whole premium thing. So there you go. You got one that you could give it a go on. But anyway, that's the good news. The good news is here that we are definitely getting Phantom Liberty, and we are considered in the pack of next gen. Let's face it, look, what does next gen mean? It means next generation to its previous generation. And I keep saying this to people on Twitter when they say, is Stadia next gen? I say, no, it's first gen, because there was no prior Stadia. It's the next generation will be the next gen, and I don't think it's going to work like that. You see, it has to work like that for the consoles and the PCs, because a part of their business model to date has been in getting you to buy new hardware, whether it's a new GPU in your new graphics card, or whether it's getting you to buy a new console. So it's important for them to get you in your mind to differentiate between the old and the new, because that's how they sell you the thing. The same as Apple's event yesterday. The first bunch of phones that it showed before it got to the Pro Max and the Pro Max Plus were, yes, last year's phones with slightly upgraded stuff that quite honestly nobody would notice. You wouldn't notice it if you got it. But they had to give it a new brand because they have to get rid of last year's model. It's how they work. Stadia doesn't need to do that, because you're not going, when they bring out the next version, they're not going to increase their prices. They're not. There's either a general price increase anyway, but once it's the new version, that's the version you're going to pay the same amount for. So they've got no need to brand them as this gen or last gen or next gen. It's just going to be, hey, guess what, guys? We've turned on ray tracing. Fill your boots, to show how good it looks in collaboration with XYZ Studio. Here's a game that has it in. It's going to be like that. But I don't think it's going to be, hey, guess what? We're celebrating the next Stadia generation, because it's not. They don't need to do that. They just need to keep giving features that differentiate and appeal to casual and family gamers, because that's their audience. And of course, ultimately over time, more and more games, and the games that people want to play. That's it in a nutshell, isn't it? Obi Rose and name, are you talking about Miles Morales? I certainly am. Oh, and the funny thing is, I have a PS5, but I never played Miles. You should play it. It's an amazing game, and you've got the kit and the game, because it comes as part of the games you can play. So you should definitely do it. David, how are you, my friend? Howdy the cloudy. Sorry to be late, Rock. Been watching news about Lizzie. Yeah, I wouldn't get hung up on it, mate. She's going to go at some point. The flag will be at half-mast. We'll have no TV for a few hours, and then off she toddles, and that's it. Next. Doesn't really affect us. I don't want to be cynical. She's a lovely old lady. I think she's the best monarch that we've had probably ever, in terms of how she has connected with the public, and how she empathizes with the public, and the fact that she's probably closer to me politically, ironically, than the people that are there who are supposedly there as a party to back her up. But, she's an old lady, my friend. It comes to us all at some point or another, and you don't want to get depressed over it. I tell you, when I did get incredibly sad was at the death of Diana. And I remember it to this day, because I was gaming, I think. It was very late in the morning, and I think I had IBS or something, so I was up gaming, and that came through. And then you're listening to it, and she's been in an accident. Bad news. That was horrible. Hope she's okay. And they think, and then the ambulances have run, and then before you know it, boom, she's gone. Wow, that wiped me out. That was incredibly sad. The whole world felt that, of course. Anyway, I don't want to get too sad. Hey, Al, how are you, dude? Hello to you, my friend, Code Z, and the amazing composer of the music that we use on Rock Players, which is on tonight, by the way, 8 o'clock UK time. So 3 hours on, 2.5 hours on from now, on my Rock Play channel. We have a ton of gaming news, new games coming out for cloud across all platforms. It's a platform agnostic show. It's all about gaming. That's the important thing. It's about the games that we all play, and mainly in the news, but some studio news and some news of future games. And then we're hoping we're going to get time today to do some game reviews. We keep running out of time, but please tune in. It's our little baby project, which is absolutely amazing. Barclay on Stadia, how are you, my friend? Hello to you. Thank you for joining. Real pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much. Anthony says, yeah, I am. I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. We don't need to be. You just experience the ray tracing. This is what you're on about. I've never played ray tracing. There's your opportunity. But I am thinking about playing the first Spider-Man. They're all brilliant. I love Spider-Man. For me, Spider-Man and Superman, so both from the kind of same artistic stable, they were always my favourite superheroes. I can't be doing with the others. The others that are kind of, Batman I quite like, but I'm not into any of the others. It's just like, how many more can we have here? Obi says, dude, I saw the Queen is sick. Well, yeah, she's on her last legs, bless her. I mean, she's 96, I think. 96, 97. So all the family are gathering. Their cameras are poised. When the flag goes to half-mast, then that'll be the end of that era. I genuinely don't think we're more than 2 generations away from the end of that whole monarchy situation. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, not really the time to talk about that, but I do respect you, Liz, and I absolutely thank you guys as well for your kind words and wishes. Where are we? Rock, I was thinking about Stadia doing Gen 2 and then saying it would be free, but it hit me that 4K isn't free, so wouldn't we think maybe it would cost over? That's the biggest mistake for me, actually, Anne, that I think Stadia has always, that Stadia's ever done. What am I doing there? What's going wrong there? In charging separately for 4K. Because, and I'll tell you why, and I've got really, I think a really justified reason for it. When you buy a game on Stadia, you can play it whether you have a Stadia Pro or not, but you can't play it in 4K. So if I want to buy Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, which I believe is 4K, if not, it's very high res, higher than 1080 anyway, I've got to pay to subscribe on a monthly basis to play it at the quality that I've paid for. And I've always felt that's wrong. I understand it fully for free-to-play games and trials. I get that completely. And I'm not overly fussed about HDR and audio either, 5.1, because, you know, I mean, I do love HDR, but a lot of people don't have it on their gaming monitors or their phones or what have you. But I think if I've paid for a 4K game, I should have the opportunity to pay it. Otherwise, why would I buy it? Why wouldn't I go and get it for my console or PC? That's the way I look at it. So personally, I think they should have they should have always backtracked on that. I get why they don't. I get that they want to have added value for people that subscribe, and I get that. But there are people that have subscribed and have never bought a game, and there are people that have bought tons of games but have never subscribed. So I don't get the benefit for either party. You know, just my 2 pence worth. I don't think Stadia will get 8K gamer. I think there's absolutely no reason anybody needs 8K, quite honestly. Sit 10 feet from any television with a 4K screen and you'll struggle to see a difference between 4K and 1440. And 8K and 4K. I've seen some amazing videos on YouTube where they've sat people beside a 4K monitor and an 8K monitor same size, and the 1080, and they've tweaked the 1080 so that it's got really nice contrast and it's lovely and sharp and the colours are vibrant, and people have actually said that was the 8K picture. So, you know, it gets to a point where your eyes they don't get it. And it's another one of those things that the entertainment industry, who have to keep coming up with stuff to get you to buy a new television or you know, a new headset or whatever. We don't need it. 4K anyway. 4K that is for me what I would rather see. This is an interesting idea actually. I don't think the 4K that Stadia streams is. I think it's compressed to an extent. We don't get the same quality of textures that I see if I play the same game in 4K natively. Or even, to be fair, on 3080 GFN. I would personally rather that for my Pro subscription, that's what I meant when I said Prime earlier, for my Pro subscription, they open up the quality, so they release the compression and let me get full textures. And then, if I don't pay for subscription, I still get 4K, but it's the current 4K, which isn't quite as good. That would work out for me. 120 frames per second. Well, nobody at the moment is doing. GFN do 4K 60 and 1440 120, I think I'm correct. Because 4K 120 that's a beast of an amount of data. Imagine 4K 120 times a second, an image in 4K sent down your cable at 120 times a second. Something's got to give. But who knows? I mean, you know, I'm no technician, but it's kind of where my head is. No, you're good, David. Don't you worry, my friend. What's in the cloud news today then, folks? Yeah, so not a lot, mate. I've got a big... I think it's a decent piece of news. We'll have a look at it in a second. It's not so much a news as it's supposition. Obi, yeah, Rock, I agree. Your eyes can't tell the difference. At least I don't think I can see a difference. No, you know, look, you can. If you go up to the screen with a magnifying glass, you know, then you will see the difference. But if you're sat, as I am, 6 to 10 feet away from a television in 4K, and then one next to it that's the same size, edge to edge, 48 inch or 52 inch or 55, whatever, and it's 1440, you will not see a difference. you might see some jaggies, but honestly, not with a game going along. You'd have to have a still image, and it would have to have lines and stuff, a natural scene like a woodland scene or a sports game or a game itself. You're not going to notice, honestly. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Mink. I mean, it would be lovely. Ultimately all that's going to come, but who knows what's coming before then. We may get the most amazing AR headset from Apple or Oculus, any of these guys, which gives us 4K right up against your face. You don't even need a TV, and it just works amazingly well. They all wanted this. Who knows? There's massive rumours that Apple are pulling it out. Ant says, what are your thoughts on frames? Sorry, did I go back behind the 30 versus 60? It's funny, when I first started playing, when I had my old PS4, which was always 30, and there were very few games that were 4K even, it wasn't until I started playing on Stadia that I really started to experience 60K. And initially, I used to say, 30's fine, it's not a problem. And Duncan used to say, want to escape. No, 60, 30 makes me feel ill now. And I was like, oh, mate, come on. But I have to say, right now, I really do feel the difference. And I do hunt down the 60. Some games, though, are just so gorgeous that you've got to do the visuals over the performance, in which case I sacrifice the 60 for the 30 so that it looks really, really good. Like Cyberpunk. I was playing Cyberpunk this afternoon before the show on a 4K monitor, so it's 4K, but obviously it's 4K 30, but I could live with that. It's not actually that fast a game. Most of the time you're walking around and stuff, so it's not like you need that speed. But games like Tri-Six Infinite and games that have got a pace to them, like Fast and Furious, or any of the kind of racing games and sports games, I think it makes a massive difference. For sure. Christopher Torres, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're keeping well. Maker of Chaos, it's a lot easier. Yes, it is a lot easier to see difference between 1080 and 4K. 100%. 1440 for me has always been the sweet spot. This now is streaming to you at 1440 60. And that's what I do all my stuff at. I can do 4K, and I have done 4K, and it works perfectly fine. But honestly, I don't think you really see the difference. Not when I'm sat back 8 feet from my LG C8, which is a couple of years old now, but still an amazing OLED screen in 4K. And I'm like, okay, that wasn't worth the excess CPU and GPU. It just wasn't worth the bother. 1440 works great. We've got hardly any movement here, so there's no need for dynamic bit rates and compression. And even if I'm playing a game at 1440, it looks absolutely fantastic. Ant says, what does Ant say? He says, I made sure I covered myself when I bought the new Sony monitor that can play 4K 120. So if those games come, I'll be ready for them. Yeah, the 1440 monitor that I have right to my left here, literally where the laptop is, where you guys are seeing it. So I'm looking on that screen, you're looking on the laptop. That's 1440 144, Ant. And I do play games on there at 144. But again, honestly, I don't see a huge difference between 144 and 60. I think once you get to that point, kind of works. Ron is in and he's smelling the cooking. I don't blame you, my friend. I hope you're keeping well, dude. He has the most ironic posts and I love him for it. It makes me chuckle. Metal Wolf, you're never late, my friend. Whenever anybody gets to my show, I'm super chuffed. And chuffed is an English phrase. It does sound rude, but it means happy. And I'm really good. It's always good to see you guys. Thank you. Already exist. How are you, dude? Hope you're well. Great to see you, my friend. It's always good to see so many alumni from Raise Praise popping into the show as well. We've had a few today, which is absolutely brilliant. Great to see. So we've been hanging about at the old 9 to 5 for a while, haven't we? Oh no, where's it gone? Come back, 9 to 5. Actually, I think... Yeah, because we did the streaming thing. We've done... Okay, good. So, moving on to this little bit of news, which I found earlier when I was hunting for Stadia news. Now, let's be honest, this is one of those maybes, but it's an interview. This was only yesterday. Interview with the chief exec of CD Projekt Red, who confirmed to William D'Angelo, VG Charts, which looks like a console with some fries sticking out the top, that they're working, CD Projekt Red, who, as you know, are the developer behind Cyberpunk, Witcher, and numerous other games. They're working on 2 AAA games, 2 new AAA titles. And the quote is, "We are revisiting a world which is an integral part of CD Projekt's history," said Kaczynski, I think it's pronounced, they're all Polish. Thus, as announced last year, CD Projekt Red has begun parallel work on 2 AAAs. One of those 2 in development is the next entry in the Witcher series. It was confirmed to be in early development earlier this year. It is not known what the second AAA game is. So they are working on 2 new titles. This is why I think they've moved off Cyberpunk, by the way. I think they feel they've done their thing with Cyberpunk. They proved a point. They got it out of their system. They've got the cartoons out there. No doubt there'll be some more spin-offs and things. But I don't know what the second one is, but there is definitely another Witcher, and of course they still have The Witcher on Netflix. Now my hypothesis here, my sort of supposition is, why wouldn't that come to Stadia? Having shown the support that they have to Stadia with Cyberpunk, the best port, day and date DLCs, guaranteed follow-up with the big DLC next year, and they've had big sales from Cyberpunk on Stadia. Nobody knows, but I wouldn't mind guessing it's up there, top 5 game sales for Stadia. It says here, the company is also working on the Phantom Liberty expansion for Cyberpunk, which was announced this week, with a 2023 release window for the PS5, Xbox XS, PC and Google Stadia. Now that's it. There ain't no more news to it than that. But I personally feel I would put money. If we were playing roulette, I'd put money on red. See what I did there? I think that is going to be at least one of those AAAs will be coming to Stadia. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And who knows, we may even get a revised version of the original Witcher and potentially the others as well, because they've dropped down in price significantly now. Everywhere you can pick them up for a few dollars. They're pretty much on every platform. We know that the pathway for porting now to Stadia is a lot easier, a lot quicker than it's ever been. Even when these guys originally ported Cyberpunk and they put it out to a third party, the tools are a lot smoother now. So who knows? We may actually be witnessing an ongoing relationship with CD Projekt Red, which could start very imminently, maybe within the next few months. I mean, this is pure speculation, guys, but some stuff feels right. Good relationship already. Good to continue that relationship. If they said that Liberty wasn't coming to Stadia next year, I'd be thinking, oh, that's not clever, is it? But they're absolutely 100%. It's 100% coming. So I'm fairly convinced. I'm not sure that CD Projekt will port Witcher 3 since it's using an older version of the Red engine. Maybe a lot of work to get it to run, especially considering last time they used a porting studio. Who knows, my friend? Who knows? I'm absolutely convinced that at least one of those 2 AAAs is definitely going to be coming, though. I'm absolutely convinced of that. The rest of it, speculation, but I like nothing wrong with a nice little bit of speculation. That's what I say. Right, so that was that bit of news. We will now finish the day by Yeah, I know it. I know that Metal Wolf, and you didn't see this happen, but while I was talking there, I popped into that screen to see what was going on, and I can't find out. It's the bigger ones. So, anyway, that is credited to Maker. That is his copyright. That last message. So here we are over at the bookmarks, the Stadia bookmarks, as I like to call them, and the first one from Cottontail, who is a really big supporter on Twitter of mine, I have to say. He's always retweeting and liking my stuff, so really appreciate that. It's very kind. And he says, sorry, Maker. Maker also says, where are we? Also, the new low change porting would have to be compatible with the CDPR engine, which I didn't see them in the list of devs they were working with. We'll see. We'll see. Stranger things have happened. Particularly on Netflix. It happened a couple of months back if you missed it. Cottontail, we can confirm, so this again is really just a confirmation from CD Projekt Red. We can confirm that the expansion in the works right now is the only planned expansion developed for Cyberpunk 2077. We've made the difficult decision to develop it only for PC. Stadia, by the way, this is a printed quote. I love the fact that we get second billing in there. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, as the scope for the expansion makes releasing it for previous gen consoles technologically challenging. See, my thinking, Maker, is if your game is still popular, but you can't sell it at the full price anymore because, it's looking a bit weathered around the edges and stuff, then if there's a platform that is on the ascension, and it is a platform, Stadia is very much a platform, where you could squeeze out a few more drops of profit, it may be worth finding a way to port it, even if it's an old engine. Import that into, say, I don't know, Unity or Unreal, and then export that to Stadia. Because although there's some work involved, there may be enough, I haven't seen the numbers, I wouldn't know, but there may be enough money that makes it worthwhile. And I wouldn't be surprised if they approached Stadia and said, guys, we're happy to do this, and we're happy to make it a kind of remastered version as well. We'd increase the textures and do some stuff. And but we would need some co-investment from you guys. Would you be prepared to put some cash in? I reckon Stadia would go for that. I genuinely do. It's goodwill as well, and it would be a really cool one if they said, look, this is being released on Stadia in a remastered format and it's exclusive. Damn right, says Petter. How are you, my friend? Hope you're well. Good to see you out running and getting fitter and fighting that darn diabetes, evil disease that it is. Next up, young Lee Reed, Reedo Baggins. Lee, by the way, I'm a hero. He's a hero. He's a hero of mine because he's a real gold digger when it comes to Stadia stuff. And he found this earlier, and it's interesting as well. So you know that we have the ability with Stadia to click on links that take us direct to games, and we've had it for a while. Some it's going to be shown up shortly, of course, in Google searches. It's in some territories, not in many, and developers have had also able to build stuff into their games to be able to, for you to share moments in the game with people who can then experience the moment or can be challenged and stuff. And it's in there, it's just never really been used a great deal. Well, guess what? Xbox are going to be doing a similar thing. And this is how they explain it. Jump right into a game from your friends' shared captures on mobile and PC. Millions of Xbox gamers share game clips and screenshots with their friends with link sharing, released late last year. Now the friends you share your game clips and screenshots with can not only watch your captures, they can start playing right away on their devices with cloud gaming. Some games require Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for cloud gaming, so the next time a friend shares an epic moment from their favourite game, like blah blah blah, just tap play. So, kind of happens. You kind of expect that to happen. You see it in the automotive industry all the time, of course, where Mercedes or BMW will come up with some amazing feature, or these days Tesla. And before you know it, there's a variety of it across or cars. So, you're going to see some of these features appear ultimately in other places. Of course, it's their own version and they've coded it themselves and it only works in their ecosphere. But, it's good to see. And they say, don't they, that flattery, is it copying is the strongest flattery or something like that. Deep Silver, Fish Lab, small update for our Stadia friends. Let me zoom in a bit here, guys. Our team fixed a bug that could occur when Saints Row was started on a non-English Google account. You can now play in your native language again. Full changelog later. Have fun in Santo Eliseo Saints. So that's really cool. Again, I mean, this is a hot fix for Stadia. This today, 7 hours ago. Again, showing how committed these new the new developers and the new studios are that are getting involved with Stadia. They've had an issue isolated, which most of us that are English speaking wouldn't have been aware of, but it's out there if you're non-English and you're trying to play in a native language. So hat off to them for jumping on that. That's really cool. 7 hours and they've done the deed. That's it, guys. That's me bookmarks sorted as well. Crikey. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Thank you, Pedder. I knew I could count on you, so you are a scholar and a gent. And Ant was there as well. Thank you, Ant. Both of you. You got there. You helped the old fella out with his mind wobbles. And Already Exists is there as well. Imitation is a thing that happens because you think what other thing is cool. Yeah, and I always said, I used to have a guy work for me about 25 odd years ago, lovely fella called Giles, and he was slightly posh, but he was lovely. He looked like Indiana Jones. He was such a good looking guy, blonde, and he used to wear the brown leather jacket and everything. And he always said to me, no such thing as a unique idea. Everything evolves from something. And I think he's right, I don't think there's very rarely has anybody woke up and gone, my God, that's a unique idea. Usually there's some inspiration. Most of the time, or sometime it can be subconscious. I always think one of my favourite stories about serendipity is Paul McCartney, who dreamed the song Yesterday. The whole song, he dreamed it, woke up, wrote it down, and for many years it was his most successful song ever. I mean, that's just amazing, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that the melody or some aspect of the song was already in his head, or he'd heard a couple of notes somewhere that sparked it. Might have heard it, in the background of a club or at a concert for somebody else, and it just sat there and percolated. Who knows, in the minds of genii, of which he most certainly is. Nathan Drake is just Indiana Jones. Yeah, of course he is. And there you go again. Imitation and flattery, isn't it? No such thing. And you could argue that, Tomb Raider maybe even started that whole genre. But I do love all that stuff. Naughty Dog. I mean, what a studio. Rudigs, how are you, my friend? Dropping in to show some love. Well, it's most appreciated. How are you getting on in Destiny? I really haven't picked it up, almost since we played last. I've really not. I've got to get back into it, but it just hasn't pulled me in for some reason. I'm quite sad about it. Maybe it will. Maybe it will again at some point. I'm taking us out of the news, fellas, because that was it. I think we did well to get this far on what was essentially 3 bits of news and a couple of bookmarks. Yeah. Oh, Raymond, thank you for the claps. The applause from Ray, always appreciated, my friend. Already Exists, Tomb Raider and Uncharted, such great franchises. I know, and of course The Last of Us as well. Sorry, Tomb Raider had nothing to do with Naughty Dog, but Uncharted did, as did LastPass. Have you guys played the new LastPass? My personal feeling is for the increased, because there was a remastered version of it anyway, wasn't there? And then they've sort of gone back to the graphics, and they've applied, the new engine and new textures. And I know it looks gorgeous, but it's still the same game. And for those that have never played it, then that's the one to buy, because it is, as you guys know, I'm sure most of you have played it. Not all, of course, because it was always an exclusive PlayStation game. I'm sure they'll be releasing it on PC soon, though, and that's possibly why they've revisited it. In fairness, thinking about it, thinking out loud, that would make sense, wouldn't it? If you're going to bring The Last of Us to PC, you're going to want to make it top of the range, ultra graphics, and if you're doing that, you may as well at the same time sell it again elsewhere. I think that's what's going on there. A little bit cynical, maybe. That's money for you, I guess, shareholders and all that malarkey. Rudigs is the meanest Canadian next to Jeff. When you say mean, are you talking about like frugal, or he's not very nice? Because I love both of them. I love Rudigs and I love Jeff. Jeff's funny. Jeff is the kind of guy who will say something with a straight face, and he has the balls to do it. And most of us don't. Most of us have to follow up quickly with a laugh or an emoji because we don't want to offend. Jeff's one of those that will do it, and he knows that it's a joke, and he knows he can walk away with a straight face, and inside he's laughing. I love that. That's normally ascribed to people from Yorkshire in this country. Just deadpan humour. Rudigs, I've beaten King's Fall multiple times. I'm all caught up on the story, and I'm playing the new Iron Banner mode, Eruption. Oh, I didn't know there was an Iron Banner mode. I've got to get back in. I've really got to. You've beaten King's Fall. Well done, mate. Yeah, that first one was a nasty, but you had the whole master level thing going on, didn't you? That kind of really made it. Master was nasty. Mink's never touched a PlayStation. And there's a whole ton of people out there, but Mink, I think it's coming to PC. I reckon it'll be there by Christmas, and I reckon there'll be a whole hullabaloo all over the PlayStation environment. But actually, you know what? Thinking about it, because I wasn't intending to buy it. I've played it twice now. It's an amazing story, one of the best game stories ever. Just amazing. But if it's going to be on PC, then I can go to CD Keys and get it for half the price that it's currently on PlayStation at that time. So no interest in buying it there. I've shown you nothing but love, cowboy, says Rudigs. Even though I may be a little dark, hopefully you still want me around. And for those of you who've never played The Last of Us, I think it's worth the $70. But if you already played it, it's more of a remaster than a remake. Yeah, and again, if I'm right, if my hunch is right that it's coming to PC, I would rather pay half the price, have it on PC, have really, put it on ultra graphics and experience it that way. Personally, somebody that has a PS5, that's how I feel. I was poking fun at American infrastructure, as Canadians have the better infrastructure. That's why there are more stadiums in Canada. I was also pumping the dark side of the Force as the better one. What do you guys like? Unfortunately, says Maker, after beating Witch Queen, I found Destiny 2 is going in a worse direction for me. Found earlier D2 and D1 content a lot better. Yeah, I can't argue with that, Maker. I really can't. D1 for me is still head and shoulders above everything that I've played on D2. I still have it installed on my PlayStation. I still go back in for nostalgic purposes, and to do the quests and stuff, because I find it so much more fun than D2. We'll see. I think the big problem with Destiny, the big problem number one was they needed to jettison all the old. We're talking old gen now. When they first PS3 was covered, and they built a new engine to help them move forward. And then I think when they took it free to play, they never really managed that very well. And that's the point where it kind of fell apart for me, I think. But I still play it. I still put in hundreds of hours a month. Well, tens. Nowhere near the time I did. Got to grab some lunch. Take care, my friend. Well, I'm off now anyway, buddy. It's coming up to top of the hour, as you can see on the clocks below me here. I'm just basically winding down. This is my little wind down session. Case, well, good to see you, my friend. Love this daily slice of rock. Oh, bless you. On the drive home, listening to this through the radio. Oh, that's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic. I'm really pleased. I've got to be better than listening to Nick Ferrari of a morning, surely. I do see myself as the Stadia version of Terry Wogan. Bless him. R.I.P. to Tell. What a fantastic guy he was. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much as ever for joining me on this almost penultimate show of the week. Tomorrow, got a special guest joining, which will be cool. Oh, Obi, thank you for joining, my friend. Thank you. And I really appreciate that. And it was great chatting last night. Get yourselves over to Ant's show from last night. I'm sure he's going to be doing it again. The old chat format works really well. Loved it. Great show. Nothing left for me to say other than, don't forget, in 2 hours' time, just enough time for me to grab some food and maybe have a power nap. We'll be doing Rock Players. That's myself, Bjorn, and Holtz, where we just cover cloud gaming games, cloud gaming news, platform agnostic, no specific favour, no specific bias towards a particular. It's just about the games. Stadia's in there, of course, as well, but we don't go into the same detail that I cover it here because we don't have enough time. It took us 3 hours last week and we still didn't get everything done. It won't be now, though. We've trimmed it all down and we put set times against it, and we're going to make sure that it's within maybe an hour and a half. And send my love to Eric as well. It certainly was epic. Thank you, my friend. I'm out of here. You've been watching Rock Around the Clock. Thanks for your time, and I will see all of you lovely folk later, please, and tomorrow at the same time. Bye-bye.